Stop me if you've heard this before. The reason that young people struggle with money is because they spend too much on iPhones, lattes, and avocado toast. This take is incredibly popular, and you see it repeated by huge personal finance influencers. But there's a lot wrong with it, and it's worth deconstructing to get a healthier and more useful perspective on your own spending. Budgets are a tool for tracking, predicting, and goal setting regarding your income and expenses. You can have one at the individual or household level and can span any length of time, from monthly to quarterly to every pay period. If you heard pay period and just got an idea, hold on to that. I'll come back to it later. For a clean explanation, we'll just assume a monthly individual budget. And while there are many different ways to record and display a budget, we're going to stick to the mechanics of budgeting rather than any particular method. When planning for a new month, you start with your income, which is money coming in, then subtract expenses until you reach zero. The expenses can be divided into three categories: needs, wants, and savings. This pie chart over here uses a 50-30-20 ratio, which is the usual recommendation for budget beginners. The lower your income and the higher your regional cost of living, the larger this chunk is going to be, and you may need to tailor that ratio towards what's realistic for you. Do you see why avocado toast isn't the problem? Let's talk about how to shrink this. Some expenses are fixed, and lowering or eliminating them requires making bigger commitments or can only be done at certain times. The flexible ones are easier to control. While these may be essential, it's not essential to buy them all by yourself. Housing can be shared with friends, which lets you share utilities too, but don't forget that phone plans and even some insurances can be bundled with non-relatives. For the flexibles, it can be helpful to establish a baseline. Look through your past 4 to 6 months of credit card or bank statements and find the average. Then start employing some strategies to get those down in the coming months. Here are some examples. Hungry? Remember that ready-to-eat foods will be costlier than the sum of their parts. This means you'll be cooking more often, so buy produce on sale to use right away. You can grow your grocery savings even more by limiting meat and its plant-based imitators, and by buying in bulk. Power problems? Use power strips to stop your devices gobbling electricity when they're powered off. Switch out your light bulbs if you haven't already, and kill the climate controls when nobody's going to be home for more than a day. Fuel costs got you fuming? Stick to highways, but out of the fast lane. Regular maintenance will improve your fuel efficiency some while also making expensive breakdowns less likely. If possible, explore carpooling, bikes, and public transit as alternative ways to commute. Pick a few of these changes to try each month to see if the savings line up with your prediction, and to see if this is a change you're willing to make long term. The goal should be to use your money more efficiently, not to completely destroy your quality of life. This brings us to wants. 3/10 of the budget pie, but a lot more than 3/10 of what makes life worth living. The fixed versus flexible division exists here too, but unlike with the essentials, the fixed stuff is a lot easier to get rid of. So how do you know what to keep? Track your use of these fixed wants over time, counting how many times you use it per week, month, or year. If you're not using it as much as you thought, get it out of here. And if you just have a subscription for 1 or 2 shows, find a friend to share an account with, or borrow the DVD or Blu-ray from the local library. Wait, what's that noise? For your flexible luxuries, find a baseline, just like for your flexible needs. Then, pick an amount below that for several expense categories at a time. Try it out for a little bit and see how it makes you feel. Most importantly though, just make sure there's some room in your budget for the fun stuff. Delaying all gratification is a rabbit hole you'll be stuck in till you retire, if even then. The third slice of our pie is often an afterthought. After all, savings just means you save it, right?
Wrong.
Not all saving is equal, or serves the same purpose. There's short-term saving, where you're putting money away for a rainy day, long-term saving, where you're saving for your retirement or a huge purchase like a house, and extra debt repayment, to lower your balances faster and save on interest. If you have extra money not otherwise accounted for, either projected in your budget or in actual amounts at the end of the month, this is where it goes. Now that we've discussed all the places money can go, let's revisit where this money comes from. If you're paid hourly on a variable schedule or have a pay structure like tips or commission, the amount you get paid will vary. This could be seasonally predictable, but it could also be totally random. We're still using baselines here, but taking the lowest value rather than the average. Allocate this amount to your 3 spending categories so you don't end up overspending on a slow month, if you can at all help it. Oh, you're still wondering about that pay period comment from earlier. Here's the tea. If you're paid bi-weekly, there will always be months where you get an extra paycheck. It's critical for your budgeting that you know when these months are and have a plan for what to do with that money once you have it. Whew, man, that's a lot. But I hope I've made the point that budgets are more nuanced than conventional wisdom would have you believe. It's not as simple as money in, money out, and there are more sustainable ways to cut back than foregoing all earthly pleasures. If you're just starting, your budgets aren't going to be perfect right out of the gate. But with practice, you'll have a better sense of where your money goes and be able to make better predictions and set better goals. So here's a toast to your brighter financial future.